So we're over at my sink now. I got my simple green. I've got all my parts that need to be cleaned. With the bolts, I just put them in my hand, soak them up real good with some simple green, rub them in my hand real well. Make sure you don't lose any of your hardware down into the drain. You can see all the junk that comes off of them. See if I can get some hot water flowing here. I'll just take and rinse them off. You can see all the stuff that comes off them, and after all the degreasing we did too. Pretty crazy. But now they're fairly clean. I just take and wipe them up with a towel, get them fairly dry, and then I'll take and I'll blow them off with compressed air. Make sure that they're perfectly dry. I don't want any rust settling on these as they sit here in the shop waiting to be installed. So blow them off real well with compressed air and you'll be good to go. The other thing I got to do, let me just set these off on the side, is I am physically going to wash the bearings. Some people might say I'm crazy and out of my mind, but I want these perfectly clean when I put them back in there. I spray them down real well. You can see the junk that's still coming out of them. And now it's getting hung up on something. Something stuck in there, maybe something from the wire wheel. But you can see all the stuff that's still coming out of them, even though we took and degreased them real well. So I'm going to get my hot water running. Take my old toothbrush. I'm going to scrub in here. Make sure that everything is out of there. They're nice and clean. Flip it over. And this is why I wipe these all off with a rag before I do this. I don't want to bring this over here with gasoline dripping out of it and oil and going down my drain. I wipe them all down, make sure they're dry. We're still getting gunk that comes out of them. I got something in there that's binding this up, so I'm glad I did this. I hope this bearing's not bad. There we go. Whatever was in there just got washed out, but there was something in there holding that bearing up. And I'll make sure to rinse them out really well. Again, I just take and dry the water off. And I'll take this over, I'll blow it out really well with compressed air. Make sure it's perfectly dry. I don't want any water in this. Good morning. Welcome back to All American Tractor Works. I'm Greg Mipps. We're going to continue putting our 1953 International Super H together. This morning I need to start by pressing the main shaft bearing into the main shaft cage. I'm going to do that here on my hydraulic press. I'm going to take and put a little lubricant around the outside. We'll line this up and we'll get it pressed in. So I've taken, I put some gear oil on the outside of this bearing, just so it has a little something to help it as it goes in. And I'm going to take my trusty press 2x4 that hangs out over here, just lay that on top so I have a good flat surface pushing it in nice and evenly. I'm going to try to line it up right in the middle the best that I can. And just start pushing that baby in there. You can drive this in on your bench with a hammer. Puts a little more stress on the bearing doing it that way than doing it this way. And this way is definitely easier to let the hydraulics do the work. And we are in. Take that off. There we go. All set. Now what we need to do is I need to take and get the main shaft, and we'll press the main shaft into the bearing as well. Let me get set up for that. So now I need to take my main pinion shaft and press it through the main pinion bearing. And again, we'll do that here on the press. You could probably get away with doing it on your workbench with a dead blow hammer or rubber mallet, but I like to do it here on the press. It takes the shock load out of it. It makes it go through nice and easy. So I'm just going to take and put a little lubrication in the middle of this bearing. We'll set it up on the press and we'll get it pressed in there. See if I can get this started. There we go. I always go back and check my parts breakdown. Make sure that I'm putting this together the right way. Up a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, with the hydraulic press, it just puts it in real nice and easy. And there we are. I stop as soon as I feel that resistance. I want to start putting pressure on that bearing on the other side. Get this out of here. Things are starting to get heavy again. There we go. All set to go. Now we can go over, put this all back together and get this put into our transmission case. So the first thing we need to do is I need to put the snap ring on the main pinion shaft. If you remember, I had this one here that was kind of bent up and mangled when I pulled it out. I tried to straighten it out, it just wouldn't work. So what I did was I bought a brand new one. McMaster-Carr saved me. It's a little bit smaller than the original, but I think for the job that it does, it's going to work just fine. I know that it fits on there. It's the exact size that it takes. So what I need to do is put that on, and I use my snap ring pliers here. These are by Mac Tools, and I'm not big on advertising for other people, but these snap ring pliers have been a godsend. I can't tell you how many snap rings I've wrestled with for hours trying to pull them off. I got these and it goes right on, it comes right off. They're the best ever. And even with these, I still have to wrestle sometimes. So let's get this installed on this shaft, and hopefully I'm not going to eat all my words that I just said about these snap ring pliers and have the snap ring go flying across the shop here on me. But there we go. Let me just get back into it a little bit here. Much easier with these. And it just goes down into our slot. There it goes, locked in perfect. Excellent. Good to go. We're going to put the bearing cover on over it next. And then we'll take and we will start layering on our gears here. I just want to go have a look at my manual, make sure I'm putting them in the right direction, in the right order. I'm not Squatch, I'm not Pete from Just a Few Acres Farms. Those guys are studs. They know this stuff like the back of their hand. I have to check my book. I don't know, maybe they do too. So I checked my manual, and it looks like the part of the gear with the collar on it for the shifter fork goes down. So it should go like this, and they all go in that same direction. that's what it looks like in my manual that I have. I'm just going to assume that I am correct in what I'm reading. I can hear you guys screaming now, you're putting it on the wrong way, dummy. But I don't think I am. I think I actually, for once, I have it right. So I'm just going to put a little bit of gear oil on here just so they're not going on dry. I have the slot here for the shifter fork. It goes down. And then after that, I have to check again. And it looks like this guy is going to go down in that direction. And then I wanted to talk about my fourth and fifth gear. And I know we had talked about this, and this was the original one that I took out of it. And if you can see here, these gears, these teeth are pretty shattered up here. They're gone. They're in really bad shape. And I tried dry fitting the two together, and it locked in pretty fine. It didn't seem to slip at all. So even though that worked, I didn't feel good about having these teeth worn as much as they were. So what did I do? I took and bought a brand new one. And you can see the difference in those teeth, how worn they actually were. So glad I did that. I have a funny feeling this tractor might have had trouble staying in fifth gear. I've heard that if this gear is worn enough that you have to take and actually hold the shifter handle in the fifth gear to make it stay in fifth gear, otherwise it just pops out. I don't want to find that out the hard way. We'll just put the new gear in and call it good. So this one as well, again, the slot for the shifter fork going down, and it just goes on to this whole fat assembly. There, everything's on there. We are ready to take and move this over into the transmission case. Let's get going on that. So before I take and put this shaft in here, I need to put my pilot bearing in on the end, and it bolts on. Again, we'll just take a little bit of gear oil here to throw on here so it's not going on dry. And maybe I could just push this on. If not, I may have to, I'm gonna have to drive that on. Grab my dead blow hammer. Uh-oh, that was bad. Why are those coming out of there? Cut.